on this beautiful, glorious, unannounced, holy stream. SRSR, I see you first chat. Yo, what's up, love? Okay, we're already starting recording 30 seconds into this unannounced stream. So you know there is zero stalling today. We got like 2-3 hours before the episode drops. So we're going to keep reading. You guys know what we're here to read? You know what we're here to do. Lord of the Mysteries. Oh, wait. Did I say duh? Yes. Honorific name. I almost forgot. Today, you will be... I will be... Wait, no, I'm already messing up this intro. Your host, the reader who stalls for eternity, the tamer of beasts and dogs, the one who farms LOTM, Easy Geeky, is here today to read 863 and so on. Charity Party. Okay, awesome. If you like what you're going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on that beautiful bell icon, and... yes, Vec, we have a surprise stream. Hopefully chat updates by the time we update our timestamps. Let's find out. All right, before we read this chapter, we actually have one bad announcement. You know what happened, man? Last stream, we actually skipped a darn chapter. We did not read 845. No, or was it 855? There's one chapter we actually missed, and I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if we should go back. I don't know. So far, I've understand everything. Yeah, we actually skipped an entire chapter. I'll double check. There's one chapter we skipped. I believe 2 videos ago. Yes, none of us noticed. One person actually put in the comments. I'm like, wait, is this guy trolling? Holy shit, he is right. Watch. Let me show you where. Check it quickly. Before we read, we actually skipped 845. After, oh wait, no you did. After we left Foggy Town, we skipped the first chapter after we left, 845. So we literally read 837 and 844, the whole second half of Foggy Town, and then the very next stream was 846 to 853. This chapter is important. I figured. All right, so we're gonna quickly, I think I'm gonna skim through it. Because this was like 20 chapters ago, dude. I don't know. I'm very conflicted right now. I don't know what to do. We've never skipped a chapter this far, you know? It's like, I don't know what happened. But let's see. Okay, you know what? It's going to be a time loop. We're going to go back in time. And we're going to read 845. And then we're going to have a crazy jump in reading time. Yeah, we're gonna read it, and then we'll go back to 863. This is gonna be so scuffed. We're gonna read 845 and then 863. So this was the lost chapter after we left Foggy Town. Are you guys ready? It really is the spirit world. Klein was delighted as he inwardly muttered to himself. Without needing further confirmation, his spirituality and spirit of perception told him that this was the real spirit world, and this meant that he had returned to the real world, the place with all kinds of delicacies. I nearly cried tears of joy. I did not read this. Klein inwardly made a self-deprecating comment as he considered where he was supposed to head to next. From the position of the stars, moon, and sun, it's still morning. If there's no difference between the real world and the Foggy Town, it's most 7:30 in the morning, or maybe earlier. At this point, the servants must discover the disappearance of their mate, and they would have definitely informed the priests and the bishops. Even if they had received the corresponding training and would report to their superiors according to the protocol, they will have to first eliminate the possibility that someone was skivering away or having a stomach ache. That would need more than 10 minutes before confirming that this and beginning taking the necessary actions. And after report... Wait, I'm reading wrong. Sorry. Guys, I tried playing a game on autoplay. It doesn't work. I'm putting it down right now. Wow, I cannot do that. And after the report to their superiors, the priests and the bishops wouldn't be able to instantly tell the severity of the matter. They would only believe that the servant had escaped. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go watch that. I'm not gonna lie. I tried playing a Switch game on autoplay. It does not work, so I put it down right away. I thought I can be subtle and play a game in the background. It does not work. This needs my full dedication. And after the report to their superiors, the priests and the bishops wouldn't be able to instantly tell the severity of the matter. They would only believe that the servant had escaped, and they wouldn't quickly connect this matter to the keepers. After they do a divination or investigations to figure out the truth, it would be 20 to 30 minutes later. That also means that they likely hadn't begun their search in the surrounding areas to find the intruder. The identity of Dwayne Tontis hasn't been exposed yet. If the bizarre sorcerer potion formula given by Zartul is real, then the identity of Dwayne Tontis still has many uses. If I can still keep the identity of going, I should try harder not to abandon it. Besides, the only thing I'm wearing, which are real, are my glove and underwear. If I head elsewhere, I'll be a pervert. What? No. I put it down. I could not do it. I wasn't able to do it, D. I couldn't pull it off. Klein already had a choice. I'll show you guys right now. Klein already had a choice. He was leaning towards, like, I tried playing this game. It doesn't work. I tried playing, I'm shot a chapter. I tried playing Loop Hero. It does not work. I can't do it. I lost my place, but it's okay. I'm gonna find my place right now. After 3 stops, his figure quickly appeared in room 116 Biltland Street. The curtains were drawn tightly and it was dim. It was very suitable for sleeping, and on the bed, Dwayne Thompson was still lying on the bed, facing up. His hands were grabbing the ends of the blanket, nearing his neck. From the looks of it, the investigation hasn't reached me. The appearance is ridiculous. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief and saw Dwayne Thompson dissipate and turn into a palm-sized mirror. Water ripples appeared on the mirror's surface as the silver light bloomed and turned into the Loweness text. Exalted great master, that you encounter something your loyal and humble servant Rhodes failed to sense you before. It wasn't anything important, Klein answered perfectly. This made him confirm that Rhodes was unable to pry into the secrets that happened in Foggy Town. After all, this fellow was able to present the environment where the rampaging Zaratul was? Oh. It really is related to the authorities of a deity. Klein's mind stirred as he asked, did anyone look for me? No one came to disturb us. To disturb you, the silver on the mirror's surface changed and produced new words. Klein felt truly relieved as he said to Rhodes, you may leave. I'll summon you again if needed. All right, Master, goodbye. Master, like before, Rhodes produced a drawing of a hand waving on the mirror. After the aqueous light vanished, the mirror was restored to normal. Klein walked to the bedside and pulled out the pajamas underneath and wore it. Then he took out candles and other items. Before entering the bathroom, he set up a sacrificial ritual, preparing to send Creeping Hunger a Zig's copper whistle, the iron cigar case, and the various mystical materials above the gray fog to avoid the investigations he might face. After doing all this, Klein didn't delay and sat at the full seat. He conjured a bizarre sorcerer potion formula in front of him. Sequence 4, bizarre sorcerer. Okay, hold up. Main ingredients. I didn't know none of this. We skipped. This was an important chapter. We actually skipped this. Main ingredients: Bizarro's Bane Main Eye, the true soul body of a spirit world plunder. Supplementary ingredients: 200 milliliters of a Bizarro Bane's blood, 30 grams of a spirit world plunder, 10 grams of the red hair birch bark, 1 segment of the golden grapevine's fingernail size self-made rubber mask. I can't believe we actually skipped this. Oh my god, we skipped a freaking ritual. Last stream, they're like, yo, man, like, somebody's talked about the ritual, and they're like, and I remember we deleted the comic, like, wait, he doesn't know that yet. That's because we skipped this damn chapter. This was like 20 chapters ago. Oh my goodness, I apologize. That is crazy. The one time we deleted a spoiler was actually because I freaking skipped the damn chapter by accident. All right. Advancement ritual, relying on one's strength and strategy, orchestrate a grand performance before many spectators to kill a beyonder creature at the level of a demigod. Then at the end of the performance, consume the potion. We skipped all these potion ingredients and a ritual. Then, at the end of the performance, consume the potion. Klein didn't consider what the ritual actually meant. Beneath the potion formula, he wrote a corresponding statement. Following that, he summoned a spiral pendulum from the junk pile, holding it in his left hand. That is going to be such a badass moment. So he has to fight some high-level deity in front of other Beyonders, and then at the end, drink the potion. Oh, that is so badass, dude. Klein didn't consider what the ritual actually meant. Beneath the potion formula, he wrote a corresponding statement. Following that, he summoned a spirit pendulum from the junk pile, holding it in his left hand. He began a divination. Before long, Klein opened his eyes and saw the dangling topaz rotating clockwise. This meant that the bizarre sorcerer potion formula was genuine. Klein exhaled as he took the opportunity to determine what kind of changes Creeping Hunger had experienced. Oh, we know this part. As well as what other various negative side effects. Oh, we can skim this part. After divination ceremony, he figured out the exact situation in less than 2 minutes. Okay, we know this. Creeping Hunger can now graze 7 souls. We know this. I can't believe we fucking skipped this. During each grazing process, it's going to obtain 2 Beyonder powers. I didn't know this part. During each grazing process, it can obtain 2 or 3 Beyonder powers. One of them can be chosen by the wearer. So now it chooses 3 at random, and then you pick one of the 3, rather than it just being randomized. Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Okay, that's cool. There are currently 8 souls inside the Creeping Hunger. The other completely dissipated from the mutation brought about by the Attendant of Mysteries. And due to the excessive weight, the others completely dissipated from the mutation brought about by the Attendant of Mysteries, and due to the excessive number of souls, it caused a congestion, making some of the powers unusable. One soul needs to be released to restore it back to normal. At present, the first of the 8 souls is barren of corruption, which Worm Tongue Mythor. He fused with the beyond characteristics of the same pathway that Mr. A had grazed. Apart from the distortion of the bribe, weakened, there's another area of effect beyond it called corrosion, and can turn the hearts of people within 10 meters dark and greedy, making them mark irrational choices. I did not know this. Okay, wow. The second is Desire Apostle Kirchis. He fused with Mr. A's devil and replaced Danger Permission, which requires an advanced action before being useful, with Sulfur Fireball and Language of Foulness. Slow and the Sword of Lava had been enhanced. Oh, they've been enhanced. Third is Traveler Mr. X Lewis Wayne. He fused with Mr. A Scribe while keeping traveling and door opening. It had obtained the beyond powers of record. Okay, I saw a record. However, there's a change. It's unable to record ordinary beyond powers, and it can only be used against targets at the demigod level. That sounds pretty good. I did not know. I can't believe we missed all this. The chance of success has been increased, although it's still very troublesome. 8 times or so would be needed as long as I'm not too unlucky. In addition, it cannot record more than 2 demigod level beyonder powers and cannot exceed sequence 3. Fourth is Zombie Mavedi. There hasn't been any change. It's still an original zombie strength, ice control, and zombie manipulation. Fifth is an unknown demoness affliction. Okay, I did not know this. She can give the user a rather powerful sense of charm. In addition, one's appearance will receive an adjustment to a certain degree. In addition, she can bribe in an element that covers 50 meters. Creatures within the range will slowly be infected, and the effects slowly become severe. In the beginning, it might be oversensitive skin, a cold, or a fever. By 20 to 30 seconds later, it might very well turn into serious illness like phenomia. Oh, I cannot pronounce nomia. Oh my god, when I read it, I can't pronounce it. I can say it out loud, but because I'm reading it, oh my god. You know what a word I'm trying to say. After 2 to 3 minutes, one can suddenly suffer cardiac arrest or a brain aneurysm. 6 is an unknown wind blast. There are 3 beyond powers: short distance, flight, dive, and water control. 7 is an unknown soul azure with 2 beyond powers of forcefully pulling one into a dream and causing the spirit body to sleep. 8 is an unknown doctor with 3 beyond powers of distinguishing the time, treatment of the serious elements, and stitching the souls. At the same time, Creeping Hunger itself has a shadow lurking and flesh bomb. Furthermore, it has the chance of the strength to barely graze a sequence 4 saint. It has instantly become so much stronger. As Klein was secretly delighted, he also frowned at the negative side effects. Now, Creeping Hunger has had to eat a living person every day. Otherwise, it would devour the wearer. At the same time, it would appraise the true creator from time to time in the wearer's mind. It would bring about chaotic thoughts and the headache. Apart from the two, it was also still afraid of mushrooms. No power could be used if mushrooms appeared within 5 meters of it. To randomly praise the true creator is really troublesome. Some for eating a living person every day. I'll first store it above the gray fog and let it calm down for a few days. Perhaps there might be some changes. If that really doesn't work, I can only write Mr. Zick. Klein quickly made up his mind and didn't hesitate to release Soul Azure's soul. He also planned on swapping the Wind Bless and Doctor later. The demons of affliction depended on the circumstances. To the side of the bronze table, the Soul Azure spirit surfaced, but due to the mutation, it couldn't be maintained. Once it lost its host, it rapidly dissipated. His beyond characteristics was produced. It was entirely black in color, and its core was pure shimmering light that looked like a night sky with embedded stars. After doing this, Klein didn't hesitate to throw Creeping Hunger and the other items into the junk pile. He then quickly returned to the real world, ended the ceremony, and cleared up any traces. Following that, he washed his face and brushed his teeth to make Dwayne Dantes look sharp. After leaving the bathroom, Klein and his pajamas walked to the door with his usual expression. He pulled open the door and said to his valet outside, "Prepare a set of clothes that's suitable for home wear." Yes, sir. Richardson didn't ask why. He merely walked to the wardrobe. Only at this point, with him seeing his servants back, that Klein confirmed that he was out of harm and had returned back to normal. I can't believe we skipped that damn chapter. We literally did skip the most filled chapter, love. That is crazy. Oh, did you accidentally hide him? Fail. Sorry, love. You blocked him by mistake. No, it's okay. It's happened to me in the past. All right, look at that. And oh, no wonder. I'm like, how did we just end up at St. Samuel Cathedral behind Chandler's Gate? Like, what? Like, we're just gonna, like, okay. All right, that was a chapter we missed. There was so much we skipped in that damn chapter. That is actually crazy. I can't believe I skipped a chapter. That is crazy. And now we resume the chapter where I was supposed to read today after I found out I skipped a chapter. So chapter 863 is called Charity Party. Your butler might be researching black magic. Your valet is secretly worshipping death. Someone among your neighbors has supernatural powers. The street where you live might have had certain secrets that cause people to have strange dreams. You should understand some of the terms mentioned. We would provide a further explanation. May the goddess bless you. Klein looked at the letter in his left hand as he was momentarily unsure whether to laugh or cry. After a few seconds, he couldn't help but give a self-deprecating laugh. Just from the contents of this letter, I'm really quite pitiful, and the matters described don't seem to be problematic in any way. As he shook his head with a smile, Klein held a letter in one hand and suddenly shook it to the side. Scarlet flame surged and devoured the piece of paper. Regardless, Miss Shio and Miss Magician are rather kind people. The only problem is that what they mentioned are things I already know. In fact, I'm more aware of the reasons than they are. As Klein mumbled, he found the mushrooms he had... As Klein mumbled, he found the mushrooms he had hidden. There was a total of 4 breeds of mushrooms, one with 3 dried products that could react with water and fish. The second was a new breed with golden caps as they emitted the smell of flour. The third was white with specks of black spots. They were swollen and puffy, as though I'm sorry, I can't read right now. Oh my god. I need my coffee today. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to power through this chapter. I apologize. As though a liquid was flowing within them as they exuded the smell of milk. The 4 had strange gills running down at 2 sides. Their surface was filled with dense and soft scales. Klein swept his gaze as the mushrooms and took out a gold coin. He caught it after flicking it. After confirming the results, he took off the ordinary glove he previously wore. With his bare skin, this feels like whiplash, like because we just jumped 20 chapters in time, dude. After confirming the result, he took off the ordinary glove he previously wore. With his bare skin, he grabbed the 3 new mushrooms to test various scenarios that Frank Lee hadn't mentioned. They felt normal to the touch, and they weren't any changes to the mushrooms. Klein heaved a sigh, a relief, no longer afraid that the level of danger they possessed had exceeded his capability. He was previously afraid that these mushrooms would immediately produce roots upon contact with items of flesh and blood, devouring whatever was in its path to grow before dispersing its spores. Perhaps it's relatively strong light from the gas wall lamps, or it might be as a result of plucking them, which causes the mushrooms to lose most of their living characteristics. They would be revived only under special conditions, such as being in the stomach of a living creature. With the intention to figure out the truth, he drew all the curtains to the master bedroom and extinguished all the wall lamps. Then he picked up the new mushrooms with his bare hand and determined that there wasn't anything abnormal about them and hadn't fed on his body. After doing this, Klein lit the wall lamps again and set up a ritual, sacrificing mushrooms above the great fog. Sitting in the full seat, he wasn't in a rush to summon creeping hunger. He first summoned a metal bottle that had his blood inside the long bronze table. Right on the heels of that, he poured a drop of blood on the table and piled the 3 new breeds of mushrooms onto it. In just a second, the mushrooms suddenly softened as a part of it were made contact with the blood. They squirmed as they enveloped the blood. Whatever they made contact with grew a dense array of needle-like hair. Ugh. The corners of Klein's mouth's lips twitched when he saw that. He directly adjusted some of the powers of the mysterious space above the great fog, surpassing all the mushrooms. Then he sent the drop of blood back into the metal bottle and closed the lid. He had roughly understood the characteristics of the mushroom. Without wasting any time, he summoned creeping hunger from the junk pile. Holding the thin human skin glove, Klein placed it on the table and removed the seal around the mushrooms. Then he saw creeping hunger support itself within 5 fingers before standing up with great difficulty. It began retracting rapidly like it was playing a piano. So do you know fear? Klein revealed a genuine smile. He pressed the glove down and he gifted. It was some of the powers of the mysterious space above the great fog. Then he grabbed the mushroom with his other hands and brought it close to creeping hunger. The human skin glove struggled with all its might, but ultimately failed to escape the grasp as it clearly began trembling. What the heck? Klein stopped moving the hand with the mushroom and chuckled. Are you still going to randomly praise the true creator? Creeping hunger continued struggling without giving a reply. Yo, that is so crazy. Klein thought for a moment. Oh my god, we skipped that chapter. No, I didn't read that. Oh my god. Oh my god. We skipped the chapter. We skipped the damn chapter. Oh my goodness. Double skip? We did read their letter? What do you mean? I didn't read it. I don't remember reading it. No, that was the cliffhanger. Watch, let me pause. All right, false alarm. False alarm. We did. No, yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Everything's A-okay. The new forgetful done for real? We're good. No, you guys scared me though right there. All right, we're good. We read that. So, you do know fear. Klein revealed a genuine smile. He pressed the glove down as he gifted. It was some of the powers of the mysterious space above the gray fog. Then he grabbed the mushroom with his other hands as he brought it closer to the creeping hunger. The human skin glove struggled with all its might, but ultimately failed to escape his grasp as it clearly began trembling. Klein stopped moving the hand with the mushroom and chuckled. Are you still going to randomly praise the true creator? Creeping hunger continued struggling without giving a reply. Klein thought for a moment before he compromised. I'll allow you to praise once a day, in the day or in the evening. Creeping hunger strugglings weakened, but it didn't stop. Tisk, Klein continued negotiating with an unperturbed expression thrice a day during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Damn, look at that. He has a whole full course meal. However, you will need to warn me ahead of time. Creeping hunger struggled twice before sprawling onto the desk, motionless. After another round of negotiations, Klein successfully reached an agreement with Creeping Hunger. This is so funny. However, eating daily was instinctual to the item. It was unable to be weakened much as a result of the negotiations. Therefore, he needed to wait for the stealing method to provided by a Zik. At present, what Klein could do was bring Creeping Hunger around without it eating. However, he needed to come up with a meal within 24 hours. How troublesome. Thankfully, after Creeping Hunger fused with Mr. A and a mushroom, its living characteristic has strengthened. Otherwise, there would be no way to make any negotiations with it. Oh, because it's more human-like, or it has more living characteristics. It's more willing to cooperate. Klein commented wistfully. Finally, he did a divination regarding the recent matters, and he received the conclusion that there wasn't too much danger. He also got confirmation that Charon's unaliving was a result of the influence of a Beyonder. After busying himself with all of that, he left the Grey Fog and returned to the real world and continued waiting for Mr. Zik's reply. On Saturday night evening, Klein, who wore a formal suit, arrived at St. Selma Cathedral with Richardson on a carriage to participate in the charity party. After passing through the main experience, he was led by a priest to a huge adjacent hall. There was a baldachin. A what a chin? There was a baldachin? I'm sorry, I need to use text-to-speech. There was a baldachin?
There was a bald achin with the...
Bald achin. Okay, there you go. I was like a bald chin. There was a bald achin with a sacred emblem representing the Evernight goddess placed inside. High above were a few miniature crystal chandeliers that hung down. In front of it were thin and long candles, as well as overturned round metal lids used to store wax. At this moment, all of them had been lit, illuminating the hall with brightness. It had quite a holy feeling to it. Klein glanced over and saw a series of neatly arranged seats and guests who wore out of ordinary attire. Among them, the women mainly wore two types of clothing. One was dressed that were either bright or dark colors, and they were bold and liberal in their dressings, allowing one to see the fair flesh in their bosoms on their shoulders. The other type wore pure and fresh colors and relatively conservative dressings. Even their collarbones could hardly be seen. Some of them even had theirs concealed. Based on what Klein knew, this was the difference between the married and unmarried woman in the Lowen Kingdom. As for widows and divorced, they would choose between the two. However, the former tended to choose darker colors. Aside from those, Klein also saw the shimmering necklace and exquisite earrings, as well as all kinds of valuable accessories. They were a lot more impressive than what the guests that attended the ball or banquet with Moshin himself had hosted. After all, walking into the hall, Klein greeted the bishops, Mosh, and the others he knew and exchanged pleasantries. At this moment, there was a sound from the door as many of the guests turned to look back, revealing their smiles as they walked over. When Klein looked over, his gaze first lit up before it froze. At the entrance to the hall, the most attractive one there was a girl with lustrous blonde hair. Isn't Audrey and Hazel attending? Blonde hair. It's Audrey. That softly cascaded down her shoulder. Her beautiful eyes were green like emeralds. It's Audrey, yeah. They appeared like the sea which had a maelstrom within, making anyone who looked at her unable to move their gaze away. Her facial features were pretty, and she had an outstanding bearing. Her looks were nearly flawless, making the men and women present find it difficult to notice what kind of dress she was wearing or the designers of her jewelry. However, Klein had swept his gaze to the necklace at her collarbone. Klein had swept his gaze to the necklace at her collar. No fucking shot. He's meeting Audrey for the first time in real life. Holy shit. Klein had swept his gaze to the necklace at her collarbone. A lustrous and perfect pearl was being embedded within the crevice between the intersection of her collarbone. It softened the lines at her neck, making her accentuate a clean and mesmerizing feel. Klein had met her before, and he knew her. She was none other than Terror Club's Miss Justice. Holy shit, dude. It is their first actual interaction. What? Back when she used magic mirror divination, Klein had seen her before. Immediately, I skipped the line. Immediately, Klein moved his gaze away without daring to take another look. This was instinctive reaction of his, and he knew that Miss Justice was beyond a spectator pathway. If he garnered her attention, it was very easy for her to read his true thoughts and secrets based on the changes in his expression and body language, so he has to keep low. But his racing mind quickly forced him to turn his head back as he continued casting his gaze at Miss Justice. He discovered that him avoiding her made it worse and more obvious. How could a gentleman who likes all kinds of women not take a few more glances when encountering such an abnormally beautiful lady? At the same time, Audrey sensed the abnormality of a particular man. What? She notices him? His sideburns are a little white. His looks and bearings. What? I'm sorry. When they say bearings, are they talking about their hips? Is she looking at Dwayne's hips? His looks and bearings aren't bad. You're right. That's what bearings mean, like their hips. His looks and bearings aren't bad, making him appear profound. This is likely Mr. Dwayne Dantes, who donated more than 10,000 pounds in an attempt to establish a bursary foundation for the poor. No, his aura. Oh, no, it's his aura, bruh. No shot. His bearings mean aura. I thought bearings meant hips. I'm like, why the fuck is Audrey checking out his hips? We're like, what the fuck am I reading? Okay. All right, that makes more sense. The way he moves, everything. Okay, I'm like, the way his hips move, technically. Okay. Pounds in an attempt to establish a bursary foundation for the poor. His reaction was a little odd, as though he was trying to hide something. To Audrey, Dane Dante's act of moving his gaze away was actually very normal. He had the act of a clown. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those facial features put in work. She had encountered many similar situations in the past. Some men would indeed subconsciously turn their heads away after seeing her, as though afraid that she would notice it, or maybe they would make eye contact, exposing her in a moment and being mesmerized. Therefore, what was odd was that Dwayne Dantes had moved his gaze away. Instead, he had turned his gaze back again. In addition, Audrey felt that the greatest problem was that the gentleman's emotions were more of a shock instead of amazement. What's he shocked about? What is he trying to hide? Holy shit, dude. America's ass. Dwayne Dantes. That's American's ass right there. Yeah, Captain America. I understood that reference, Momo. That's funny. What's he shocked about? What is he trying to hide? With her questions, Audrey greeted her parents and brothers at the people of the gathering over with a faint smile. Seeing Miss Justice no longer paying attention to hide... No, oh my god, I can't read. I'm too excited. I want to see what their interaction is going to be like. Seeing Miss Justice no longer paying attention to him, Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief as he began thinking... I need to be careful and play the role of Dwayne Dantes well. I mustn't let a spectator notice any problems. Regardless of whether Miss Justice noticed it or not, I've already thought of an excuse for my abnormal reaction. Miss Justice is indeed a lady from a powerful aristocratic family. I wonder what her last name is exactly. I'll ask Smash or the Bishop-elect later. He doesn't know her last name? He never knew it was Hall? Miss Justice is indeed a lady from a powerful aristocratic family. I wonder what her last name is exactly. I'll ask Mach or Bishop-elect later. Amidst his thoughts, Klein frowned slightly, having a nagging feeling that he was being watched. Following his spiritual intuition, he swept his gaze towards the door. Outside the door in the shadows, there was a golden retriever sitting there silently. What the fuck am I reading? Susie's spectating him? He's like, he's gonna piece it together. It's like, wait. She really did give the potion to her dog. Oh my god. This volume is such a good volume, dude. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't doubt if at the end of the story, Susie is the one that ends up being a Sequence Zero spectator. And when she's in like her demigod mythical creature dragon form, she ends up taking out like some high level beyonder, or like there's gonna be like a crazy fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Susie ends up one-upping Audrey. But next chapter, when the ghostly gaze of the golden retriever pierced through the curtains from the shadows, Klein's brows instinctively twitched as he failed to hide his alarm. He then naturally shifted his gaze away and looked towards Miss Justice and company. How terrifying. Why is that dog sitting in the corner, hiding in the shadows for no good reason? It was silently looking at everyone in the hall. Miss Justice seems to have fed a spectator potion to an animal and at once asked Mr. Hankman for advice. Don't tell me it's that golden retriever, two spectators, one out in the open and one in the dark. Which actor can handle that? In high society, Miss Justice and the dog are unlikely to be the only spectators. her joining the psychology alchemist was a result of other nobles as well. It seems like it was done by the Duchess Negan's sister. As Klein lampooned and analyzed, he walked to the Mach family and asked in a seemingly casual manner. The ones who just entered seemed to be a very noble people. Mach glanced at Dwayne Thontis and chuckled. East Chester Earl's family. You can directly call him Earl Hall. You should have heard of him. That's his wife, Man Caitlin. That's his oldest son, Lord Hybert. You should have already met him. Upon hearing Mach's introduction, Klein suddenly broke out into a cold sweat. Yo, he's sweating, dude. This was because he had indeed met Hybert Hall at the ball Mach had hosted. However, he had failed to notice the Lord, or he would have had raised the question. I was shocked by Miss Justice's sudden appearance. Klein maintained a smile and listening stance. Mach continued, that's his daughter, Miss Audrey Hall. In the social scene over the past 2 years, she had the title of being the most stunning gem in Backland. It's very apt, isn't it? Without waiting for Dwayne Dante's reply, he minced his words by saying she is courted by princes, duke heirs, and many honorable excellencies and gentlemen. Mach concealed the meaning was clear. He was saying to the man, one who liked all kinds of women, to not place his sights on the lady. She was a target he had no thoughts of making contact with. As for Klein, he was having other thoughts. So Miss Justice is Earl Hall's daughter. It is no wonder she's so rich. It is no wonder she's never bargaining. Earl Hall is one of the top bankers in the kingdom, his most powerful, influential members of parliament of the House of Lords, and one of the hereditary peerage, brightest gem of the Backland. His wealth is much more than Baron Sinders. Even if Miss Justice is unable to inherit the aristocratic title and family estate, the wealth she will inherit will be at least 100,000 pounds. Holy shit. Dude, what's up, man? Thank you for joining the lives. Awesome, dude. Thanks for tuning in. With her looks, birth, and character, she is indeed the best choice for a marriage partner with a royal family or powerful nobles. However, the way she was being repeatedly buying mystical items doesn't look like she's someone with a wealth of only a few 100,000 pounds. She is able to claim it from her father. I also wish to have one like that. Amidst his racing thoughts, Klein replied to Mach's warning with a smile. I've heard of various rumors about Miss Audrey. It's only today that I've realized that they are an exaggeration. Unfortunately, I'm not a prince or the heir to a duke, marquis, viscount, or earl. Otherwise, I would also be the one of her pursuers. He was implying that he knew his status and standing. Mach didn't continue the topic and began introducing the various guests he knew to Dwayne Dantes. He had truly led him into high society. Yo, what's up, dude? Of course, the greatest supporter involved in this was the Church of the Evernight. Without the charity party they held for the foundation, Mach wouldn't have had the chance to bright Dwayne Dantes to meet so many honorable people. Marquise, Lowcent, Earl Hall, Viscount, Loveland, the aristocratic believers of the goddess separately exchanged pleasantries with Dwayne Dantes with a rather gentle attitude. Before Mach was done with the introductions, an elder walked into the hall. He was wearing a black clergyman robe with the red accents. By his chest hung 5 dark sacred emblems. He was clean-shaven and his eyes were deep, dark, and tranquil. Including Earl Hall, everyone turned to face the elder and respectfully bowed. Good evening, your grace. This elder was none other than Saint Anthony Stephen, one of the 13 archbishops of the Church of the Evernight. He was a person in charge of the Backland Diocese, and he was part of the upper echelons of the church in the true sense of the word. When Klein saw the archbishop, his body and mind involuntarily trembled as he found it difficult to hide it. It was as though he stumbled upon a grave on an unlit village trail back when he was young. He swept his gaze and saw the other guests didn't have any strong reactions. He immediately realized that the horror which Saint Anthony carried with him was more clearly felt by people with stronger spirituality. He hurriedly entered a cognitation and attempted to calm himself down. When he managed to control his trembling, Saint Anthony had already smiled. He severed the area and tapped his chest 4 times in a clockwise fashion. Praise the lady, praise the lady. The guests in the charity party replied one after another. With the archbishop's arrival, Mach stopped introducing Klein to the other guests because the party had officially begun. According to the convention, everyone would take their seats and piously pray to the goddess for 3 minutes. Following that, the cathedral would begin sinking and walk to the baldachin. I cannot pronounce this word. Baldachin, and use their ethereal uniform and seemingly cathartic voices to pray to the goddess. After the religious ritual ended, a lecturer received a St. Anthony's instruction to stand to the side of a... I did not skip one. I skipped a chapter. We read the chapter. I skipped the one, Hinge. We did catch that. After the religious ritual ended, a lecturer received St. Anthony's instructions to stand to the side of the choir. There was a podium there with all kinds of books placed on it. Everyone I'd like to thank you all for coming. Your character is a resplendent star in the serene night. Electra first said a few words of pleasantries before saying, our establishment of a Bercy Foundation or targets of the poor stem from Miss Dwayne onto suggestion. He is truly an audible gentleman. His piousness and character are impeccable and a definite role model to others. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Dwayne Dantas to give everyone a brief speech. Although Klein was already prepared, he drew a gasp inwardly when he heard the last sentence. This was different from usual. There were 2 or even more spectators. More? Oh, okay. Psychology alchemist, that's what he meant. There were 2 or even more spectators around. It wasn't something that he couldn't bullshit through if he wanted to. The content of his speech needed to be sufficiently realistic without them being able to see through his lies or fake examples. Pressing down his clothes to his abdomen, he quickly stood up and walked to the podium as he buttoned his suit. Coming behind the podium and steadying himself, he surveyed the nobles, members of parliament, clergymen, and high-ranking civil servants. He said with a smile, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time being stared at by so many people of such honorable standing. I once arrived in a region where the poor gathered. I was active in the chaotic southern continent and thus saw many things. There was a young lady who helped her mother make pastry matchboxes from the age of 6. If she didn't do that, they wouldn't even have the money to buy rye bread after paying rent. The rye bread they ate is filled with meal, feed, and occasionally they would bite into gravel rocks, the hardness making it usable as a rod to attack others. When the girl gradually grew up, although she led a laborious daily life and her family lacked any additional funds, she still looked forward to the night schools run by the church. She wished to study how to read in order to grasp knowledge. I feel like he's doing this from volume 2, man. The people from Eastboro, I feel like he's taking from their examples. This is because she knew that only by doing so could she stop living in the way she did. Only by doing so could she not starve and be able to wear clothes that could really protect her from the cold. She wouldn't need to work at factories with her hard conditions and end up dying in her 20s. Klein had selected a portion of her experiences of the poor kids he had met before, merging them together as he conveyed them with his true feelings. He could clearly see ladies and more or less reveal looks of empathy. A number of girls even had their eyes flicker, such as Audrey Hall. My eyes are about to flicker over here too. She really is an easily moved child. I've acted from the bottom of my heart. I've even moved myself, much less a spectator. I guess she's a bad spectator after all, huh? If she can't figure it out. However, most gentlemen aren't moved. Some of them seem to already be aware of the situation of the poor. Some do not mind those of the lower class. Assholes. Klein swept his gaze as he continued. Our industry has been developing. In the future, we will definitely need more literate workers. Our election criteria had been relaxed. Wow, I can't see my eyesight. Oh man, I feel like I have something in my eye. In the future, the ones who are eligible to vote definitely include most of the educated. With empathy towards these poor children, my expectations of the kingdom's future, I've decided to donate all of my money to coin company shares that I have on hand to establish a Bercy Foundation that targets the poor. It lets them have the opportunity to enter the official institutes of higher learning after attending the free night classes. Earl Hall, who had a beautiful mustache, nodded when he heard that. He was the first to raise his hands to gently clap. Amidst the vigorous applause, Klein returned to the seat belonging to him. Bishop Electra headed up and announced the shares that Mr. Dwayne Dantas donated are valuable at £15,000. We would use it to establish a loan charity Bercy Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you agree with him and pity those children who thirst for knowledge, you can contribute to this foundation. As he spoke, he pointed to the donation box beside him. Audrey retracted her gaze and pressed the corner of her eyes and said to her father, Father, I plan on donating £1,000. What do you think? As she spoke, her mind quickly summarized what she had observed. Dwayne Dantas has likely lived a lower-class life. His pity, empathy, and speech were all very realistic. Those poor children are truly pitiful. Damn! Just now when she said that, those poor children are truly pitiful? What the fuck, Audrey? Just now when the bishop mentioned that the shares were valued at £15,000, the corners of her lips twitched unnaturally. From the looks of it, he likely feels a pinch over donating the money. However, the sincerity of him donating it doesn't seem fake. This means that he's a gentleman who loves money, but he loves kindness even more? Klein's a good clown, so he can trick Spectator. That is also true. I feel like he just outweighs her as a beyonder. Why he was shocked when he saw me, and what is he hiding? He has seen me somewhere before but doesn't know my identity, but there's no need to hide that. He identified my necklace as a mystical item, so he was shocked before trying to attempt to hide the matter. If that's the case, it means that he's definitely beyonder, one that isn't a low sequence beyonder. Okay, Audrey, look at her. She figured it out too, but not completely. I'll ask Susie later when I'm back. Perhaps she noticed other details. She was hiding in her darkness so he wouldn't be on guard against her. Nah, he figured it out too. Allowing her to discover more. Literally, I feel like I'm reading Death Note, man. I feel like I'm reading a whole inner monologue of L. Amidst her thoughts, Audrey saw her father smile as he took out a checkbox and found a pen. The value he wrote down was 10,000 pounds? Damn! She only wanted to donate 1,000. Okay. So she wanted to donate 1,000 and Earl Hall's like, nah, fuck it. 10,000 pounds. All right. What a good man. What a good man. Next chapter, 865. Chapter 845 is called Earl Hall Suggestion. 10,000 pounds. Andre blinked that she used a very slight change in expression to express her supplies. Without needing her to voice out her question, Earl Hall had noticed her puzzlement. He chuckled and said, "This is the insightful man. His idea has inspired me and resonated with me. Besides, we can't ignore the misery that objectively exists just because it cannot be resolved anytime soon." Audrey vaguely understood her father, but she felt that she didn't fully understand him. She nodded slightly and took out her check box from her purse that matched her dress and wrote down 1,000 pounds value. This was a charity ball. Furthermore, it was held in a side hall of the cathedral, so there weren't any dances or extravagant arguments. There weren't any valettes or lady maids following by their sides. It was simply a charity event that had some degree of donations involved. The ladies undoubtedly brought their bags on them. The guests subsequently threw their checks into the donation box and headed for the two long tables for some beverages or simple food, after which they walked around the hall socializing instead of sitting. This was closer to that of a buffet party. Klein also accompanied a lecturer and came to St. Anthony's side and was introduced to him. St. Anthony smiled in response to Dwayne Dante's greeting. He sized him up and said, "Very good. We are proud to have a believer like you. It's the goddesses that he taught us that the character is the most important than status. Therefore, you are an extremely honorable gentleman. To be frank, faces with the saint." When the saints Klein's heart was drummed because of their deities or beyonders related to the fate domain, was able to see that the gray fog's aura on him. For example, everyone from the mantra pathway or evernight goddess who wielded the authority of misfortune. As for the Saint Anthony, was a high sequence beyonder of the sleepless pathway, and grasped the beyonder powers involving misfortune, and there was a chance that he could see that there was a problem with Dwayne Dantes. I'm sorry if I'm not reading right today. I'm noticing I'm not like 100% today, so my reading is kind of like all over the place. I do apologize in advance. As such, Klein had headed above the gray fog to divine, so before attending the charity party, he received the answer that there wasn't any danger. Since the goddesses didn't say anything, or even if her archbishop were to discover some problems, he would feign ignorance. Klein replied with a warm smile, "I've been to the cathedral." Did I skip something? No. Klein replied with a warm smile, "I've been to the cathedral frequently to pray and listen to Bishop Electra's preachings in recent time. Even my soul seems to have been cleansed. Therefore, I abided by the goddess's teachings to pass such a beauty and hope to others." Saint Anthony nodded and said, "In front of the goddess, all believers are differentiated by their characters, regardless if they are nobles or commoners, male or female. They are all the same. I hope those people who live in poor environments will liberate themselves of fear and receive serenity. Praise the lady." Klein and Electra tapped their chests 4 times in a clockwise fashion. Praise the lady. Seeing Saint Anthony turned towards the other believers, Klein planned on heading over the table to get a glass of champagne to quench the thirst. At this moment, he saw a gentleman approach him. This man had somewhat loose skin and with an obvious pot belly. However, it could be seen that he was rather handsome in his youth. Even now, his blue eyes had a smile on them, and his beautiful mustache made him appear like a good-looking. Klein had previously learned from Mott's introduction and knew that he was the House of Lord of Members Parliament and powerful banker Earl Hall. Of course, to him, the most important identity of the noble was that his justice father... Wait, one sec. My thing froze. All right, but let's continue, man. Thank you so much. We are going to use those dinner funds today to bribe the missus into making a video of us. I got you guys. You got my word. I'm going to make it happen. I will do everything in my power to make that video happen. We are influenced by the Benson and Neil. I need to present the persona that matches Dwayne Dantes, a person of ordinary birth who's working hard to get himself into high society. At this moment, he's bound to be a little nervous and restrained. Likewise, a gentleman who loves beautiful women will feel the same feelings when faced with the most stunning gem in Backlund's eyes. But he will also unknowingly showcase his own breadth of knowledge and show his charms to express his desire. Yes, an experienced tycoon who surveyed the chaos must be someone who had pride and confidence hidden in him. No matter what he faces, he will try his best to appear calm, respectful, but not sycophantic. Klein's saw raised as he smiled politely and said to the approaching Earl Hall, Honorable Earl, I appeared to see the check you donated. Your kindness and generosity truly impressed me. Yet, you've never flaunted that or informed others of how much you've donated. Earl Hall chuckled. No, compared to you, the price I pay is far inferior to what you made. Between the lines, he meant that the £15,000 might be a tenth of Dwayne Dante's overall wealth, or even a fifth, but £10,000 to him was just a thousandth or even lesser. Damn, he is rich. Clearly, the former paid a greater price, and his willingness to do was even more pure. From my point of view, as long as the poor who yearn to use knowledge to change their fates can be held, all donations are kind and sufficiently benevolent. From this angle, the only difference between £10,000 and £15,000 is just £5,000. Klein tried hard to express his sincerity as he deliberately glanced at the listening blonde girl without leaving a trace. He knew that an ordinary without a trace was obvious in the eyes of a spectator. Audrey wore a faint smile as he silently listened to her father, Dwayne Dante's conversation, as though she hadn't noticed the gentleman peek at her. This made Klein lack confidence from his failure at receiving any feedback in his performance. Earl Hall laughed and said, Then we shall agree to disagree. This isn't anything bad. At the very least, we are praising one another. I can tell that you once had a difficult period and had once led the life of the poor. Klein nodded and said, I did not avoid such a past. They are my valuable riches. And this is something me and my friends lack, Earl Hall commented with a smile, and it's because of this that you possess a unique and wise point of view. I hope that there will be opportunities in the future to work with you. This is also something I look forward to. Klein replied with a suitable level of sincerity. Earl Hall pointed to the side and said, A couple of friends are waiting for me. I hope that your charitable ways and wealth keep increasing. Klein didn't drag on the conversation as he drew the crimson moon on his chest. Praise the lady. Praise the lady. Earl Hall and Audrey tapped their chests in a clockwise fashion in unison. Watching them walk past him and into another direction, Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly, he tensed up as he naturally looked around the hall and noticed the shadows at the door. Silently sitting there was a golden retriever. On the carriage back to the Emperor's Borough, Earl Hall, who looked like he was resting with his eyes closed, looked at his daughter and said, Audrey, didn't you mention that you wish to join one of the churches of the charitable organizations? Are you interested in joining this Bercy Foundation? Audrey had already sensed that her father might have such thoughts back in the cathedral, so she expressed the appropriate level of surprise and confusion. It's only a small charity foundation. Audrey's brother, Hybrid Hall, argued for his sister. Earl Hall shook his head and laughed. I've asked a few bishops. The total amount of donations tonight has already reached £100,000. Why do you think there's so much? Hybrid frowned slightly as he said and thought they were bribed. At the same time, Audrey gave her own point of view, knowledge, and the relaxing of the electrical qualifications. Earl Hall nodded and sighed. Nothing as an essential existence, including humans themselves, as well as the nobility. He then looked at Audrey and said with a smile, There's no need to force yourself. I can get others to join the Bercy Foundation. I just wish that you will gain more knowledge because of this, and now that view certain matters as definite and immutable. Even if you miss this, there will be other charitable organizations. Father, I'll consider it. Audrey replied seriously. On the episode release? Oh yeah, 20 minutes on WeTV. Father, I'll consider it. Audrey replied seriously. After hearing Dwayne Dante's recount of the stories of the poor, she had already decided on joining to gather more donations to contact the government and organize the events to contribute her efforts to the cause. She was hesitant because she felt the middle-aged man was a little problematic. After returning home, Audrey immediately brought Susie to her room and closed the door. What's your take on Mr. Dwayne Dantes? Audrey asked directly. The golden retriever sat opposite of her and thought, like, he knows something about you, right? He seems to know you or something on you. Also, a lot of time he's acting and leaving a certain degree of clues. He seems to be guarding against me. He's extremely sharp. What a crazy-ass conversation, dude. Yes, I noticed it too. He might be a beyonder. He acted very well, but it's still an act. However, this is also very ordinary. At a social event in the faces with different people, we would also play different roles and engage in a corresponding act. Audrey said and thought the biggest problem stemmed from his shock when he saw me. He was almost horrified and also was embroiled in two cases, one after another, especially with the case regarding Baron Sindras. It seems to have some beyonder elements involved in it, with signs of someone being cued to do so. Susie gaped her mouth, unable to give a definite explanation. All she could do was woof. Audrey began another train of thought. I'll get someone to investigate Dwayne Dantes, and after confirming that there aren't any major problems, I joined the Bercy Foundation. Alright, it's almost Monday. I can request 4 I can request Forrest and Mr. Moon. They're both in Backland. Monday afternoon at 3. Oh, Terry Club time? Dark red beam shot up in the Grand Palace, materializing into blurry figures. Audrey quickly surveyed the area and looked to the seat of honor at the bronze long table and bowed with a smile. Good afternoon, Mr. Fool. What are we going to find out today? All right, chapter 864. Yeah, this is a scuffed video. I just realized our timestamps are kind of scuffed. So I apologize in advance. I think the timestamps are off by 1 chapter. Nah, bro, don't worry about it. Let your eyes rest. Nah, it's okay. Chapter 866. And I didn't even do my timestamp for this. I should still do it. Chapter 866 is called Home. Upon hearing Miss Justice's greeting, the fool client suddenly had a strong, wistful feeling. After knowing her identity, status, looks, and situation, he had a deeper understanding as to why Audrey's tone had a happy and radiant air. He understood where they essentially came from, but he didn't end up envious or jealous because of that, nor did he believe that she lacked the toughness that was brought about by misery. Instead, he felt that in the world that had chaos, warped, and madness underlying it, and having such a lady exist was really nice. A smile surfaced on his face as he gently nodded as an acknowledgement of Miss Justice's greetings. After the Terror Club member exchanged greetings, Katlia nudged her glasses and turned her body sideways. She bowed in the direction of the blurry figure and was enveloped by the gray fog and ended on the long bronze table. Honorable Mr. Fool, there are 3 diary pages this time. Queen Mystic has finally come online again. Klein lampooned instead of a smile. Very good. A few seconds later, Katlia conjured the diary pages after receiving approval before seeing them leap into Mr. Fool's hand. Klein glanced at it casually. When his heart skipped a beat, he realized that the diary pages provided by Queen Mystic depicted the Emperor Rozel's early days. It didn't seem to contain anything important. Logically speaking, when being unable to distinguish the importance of entries, one will definitely prioritize the later diary entries. It would be best to restore the mystery as to why Emperor Rozel was agitated. I believe Queen Mystic is sufficiently clever. As Klein wondered to himself inwardly, he began seriously reading the first page. September 21st, arrived at St. Samuel Millium. I've officially begun my first state visit. You should do the dubs now. Basic weather is really a little odd. It's not even October, and it looks like it's about to snow. It's no wonder it's famous for its various coats and winter wear, as well as its liquor. Fuck, the people here are ridiculously tall. I expected of a country that descended from giants. However, I have to say that I hate it when people look down on me. Tonight, I'll be going to a bar to find a basic beauty to share some drinks. Upon reading this, Klein suddenly suspected the Queen Mystic Bernadette's questions was if she had a brother of basic descent. Holding back his tisking inwardly, Klein swept his gaze to the second diary entry. September 22nd. I think I blacked out. What happened last night? What happened to Basic Beauty? I also lost out in her drinking. English duck spoils. What? I'm sorry. Did they really spoil that in the dub? What? During the intro? Yeah, what? What? The people here are ridiculously tall, as expected of a country that descended from giants. However, I have to say that I hate it when people look down on me. Tonight, I'll be going to a bar to find a basic beauty to share some drinks. Upon reading this, Klein suddenly suspected Queen Mystic Bernadette's question was if she had a brother of basic descent. Holding back his tisking inwardly, Klein swept his gaze to the second diary entry. September 22nd. I think I blacked out. What happened last night? What happened to my basic beauty? I actually lost out to her in drinking. The embassy staff told me that the women here are often better at drinking than me. I should show some temperance when I head to the bar in the future. I sure don't want some ugly middle-aged woman to do unspeakable things to me when I black out. The alcohol here sure is strong. My headache has lasted an entire day. Thankfully, my stomach doesn't hurt. I should sleep early. I'll be visiting the Great Twilight Hall tomorrow. September 23rd, the Great Twilight Hall is indeed grand. It's like a myth materializing into reality. The building seems to be completely prepared for giants. Since I don't share their faith, I could only circle the perimeter. The square of the bottom of the Great Twilight Hall is also filled with fragments of alcohol. There were plenty of people here, some kneeling, some sitting, other playing musical instruments. They exuded a rather relaxed and open feeling. I got to know a Phasaxian who blows a bone flute. Phasaxian? I think I said it right. Who blows a bone flute. Compared to his kingsman, he's ridiculously tall. He's roughly 3 meters tall. His name is Hoin? I can't say that word. This word is flying too close to the sun. I'm not even gonna attempt to say this word. I'm gonna say Hone. I'm just saying the first part. His name is Hone, and he claims to be from one. I almost said that fucking word, man. Holy shit! It is a definite sus word. Hone, and then it ends. I'm just not talk about that. Never mind. If you guys know what word I'm talking about, you guys know what word I'm talking about. His name is Hone. Oh my god, I almost said it. His name is Hone, and he claims to be from one of the clans in the Facek that has a purest giant bloodline. The way... Okay, hold up. Let me pause this video. Okay, just mix the words Hone and then mix the words dagger. But just take out the da part and just add the Hone part. Just the way this word is put together, I don't like that. I'm not gonna say that word. The way he plays the bone flute looks very sorrowful, as though he doesn't belong here, but has no idea where to go. Compared to the skirt chasers and intas, he is a lot more like a poet. Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna say that name. I almost said it. I was like, holy shit, wait a sec. Now that I mention it, I really can't help but give some criticism. Those guys seem to wear any sexual diseases as a badge of honor. It just messes up the entire social market. I had a chat with oh my god, I almost said it again. I had a chat with Hone for a while and raised my question from before. He said that he's only homesick, but the problem lies in the fact that he's a true blue native from the Saint Milim. He has never left the place before. Hone didn't immediately reply to me as he played the bone flute for a few more minutes. He later told me that he misses the origins of the giant bloodline, the giant king's court mentioned in the myths. He told me that he and his clan face Saxians, often dream of the tall mountains that are used as the giant city halls. It's a place forever bathed in the twilight's glow. With the tall towers and other kinds of buildings, it resembles a great twilight hall. Let me know how the episode goes, guys. And it resembles a great twilight hall, but it's even more fascinating, epic, and miraculous. Without anyone needing to tell them, Hone and his clansmen believe that it's the Giant King's court. Towards the end of the conversation, Hone slowly stood up and thanked me for listening. He was going to leave Facek to seek out the Giant King's court to find the home of his soul. He believed that in the zone at the easternmost front of the Sony Sea, there might be a path that leads to the Giant King's court. He said that a millennium has passed but the giants had never forgotten their home. Now it's his turn to follow the footsteps of his ancestors. This path would never stop until the destination is reached. He played the bone flute again and gradually left amidst the eternal and sorrowful tune, Home. Home. Upon reading this, Klein felt that the first time that his feelings resonated with the Emperor. Although Rizzo only wrote the word that seemed to repeat without describing his feelings, Klein could understand that undiluting feelings within the Emperor. Just because he and Rizzo were like Hone, they had a home they belonged to spiritually. Sighing inwardly, Klein flipped to the secondary page. January 10th, visiting Sonia Sea. This place is called Ancient Elf Island. It has plenty of elven ruins and customs left over. I was surprised on the first day. The elves actually make blood cake and they enjoy eating animal organs and are good at using spices. They even invented chopsticks. Think about the elven depictions of the murals? Oh my god, depictions. I cannot read today. I'm so out of it. I'm so sorry. I did not bring my A game today. I apologize. Think about the elven depictions of the murals. Apart from their blue hair, their facial contours and the eyes are similar to the Asians on Earth. Could they be my fellow countrymen? Yes, back then I had such suspicions as well. However, it's impossible for so many people to transmigrate at once since it's almost an entire race. I felt that I was overthinking matters unless somebody transmigrated like eons or like centuries ago, and then that's how you have like a whole race. But it doesn't make sense that the customs and culture that appear on Earth won't appear here. Klein thought in interest as he quickly continued reading. He wanted to know if Rizzo had gotten to the bottom of it. January 13th, I've been so busy searching for writings, relics, and folktales that I forgot to write my diary for a few days. Although many objects had been taken away by the various churches, I've still obtained something of value. Various legends have it that Elf King Sonithring created chopsticks. They are recorded of him using animal organs and the blood to chop delicacies. There are stories of the ancient gods being good at identifying and using spices. It's acknowledged that he is the founding ancestor of the first elf. Due to certain reasonings, he led the race and left the western continent that only existed in legends, bringing them to the northern continent. Could it be that this is a fellow countryman of mine, a transmigrator? Sonithrin? The ancient elf god? is a fellow transmigrator? What? He later produced an entire race? There's nothing ancient gods can do, including having children. He apparently had a wife who was also an elf. Huh? I'll need to think this through. What? January 16th, after furthering the investigation, elves might really have nothing to do with transmigrators. At the very least, they didn't leave behind any Chinese, English, or other symbols. They have likely been using Elvish all the time. Nothing of it gives a sense of familiarity. Furthermore, there's no familiarity. Furthermore, the inventions we have in common didn't appear before I came. Likewise, for famous quotes, there are only proverbs and idioms with similar meanings, but with a completely different choice of words. From all their items and legends I have now, none of them support my theory. This is a little disappointing, but it also makes me relieved. If I were to encounter another transmigrator or other transmigrators, I really have no idea how to face them. Amon, he has to be another transmigrator. January 17th, I've dreamed of the home I've nearly forgotten. Indeed, the Emperor more or less gave up on that theory. Client flipped to the next page and saw the final diary entry. April 2nd, my daughter is smart. She can speak before the age of 1. What the fuck? Although she has only learned a few words, I believe that her subsequent development can't be slow. She must have inherited this from me. No matter how I look, she looks a little like how I looked like on Earth. Could it be that his soul will also bring about some level of inheritance? Huh? I'll just treat it as so. Bernadette, this name is quite good. It sounds beautiful, but deep in my heart, I keep having the urge to give her a Chinese nickname. Sigh, she won't get her real grandmother. She won't get to see her real grandmother and grandfather. Oh, that's sad. April 3rd, I suffered from insomnia last night because of the wistful thoughts I suddenly had yesterday. Thankfully, I know cognition. However, this also made me consider a problem. This is whether I should secretly teach Bernadette Chinese. No, I can't. If she were to understand the diary entries her father had previously written, I'd rather kill myself. In my daughter's heart, her father is filled with horror. However, using Chinese to write my diary is my final tether to Earth and my past. My daughter should inherit this tether to a certain extent. April 6th. After a few days of consideration, I've decided to teach Bernadette 2 Chinese characters as though they are special symbols. I'll tell her that this is a protective incantation that her father is giving her and that she is to remember it forever. She doesn't need to know the corresponding meanings. All she needs to do is remember the word in Chinese is home. Home. Klein repeated this word again as he felt his eyes run a little. Is he getting homesick? He finally understood why Queen Mystic had chosen these 3 diary pages. This is because it was the protective symbol her father had left her. Home. That's sweet. At this moment, Klein seemed to see a river of emotion that surfaced from flowing silently, but there was an infinite eddies flowing underneath, churning without end. Klein retracted his gaze and made the diary pages disappear. Looking up at Kalia, he asked, "What's your opinion?" Aw, that was a sweet chapter. Oh, is that the word home? So that's home in Chinese. Is that what that means? Is that what that is? Thank you. Fire? Alright, I think I'm gonna stop right there. That's sweet. We are gonna do overall thoughts. We're gonna cut it a little short because we're gonna convince the missus today to do a video with us tonight. And also I want to check out to see if Crunchyroll really did or didn't spoil the big Sequence 0 reveal for Seer. I don't believe that, bro. I hope you guys are trolling me. There's no shot they fucked up that badly, but we're gonna find out. So I like what I read. I'm actually upset at how I read today. I was all over the place. I had a lot of baboon moments. I did not give you guys my A game today, and I don't know it's because I didn't drink coffee or if it's because I'm streaming a little bit later than usual, and I kind of just turned on stream randomly. I don't know why I wasn't 100% today, so I apologize that we also only read a few chapters, and we read a chapter that we missed 20 chapters ago. But tomorrow, I don't know what time I'm gonna go live, but it's gonna be one stream when I can, and I'm gonna try and stream as long as I can. Most likely Monday, I will do my best to stream from morning to night. I will do my best. If not, we'll see when. But if you like what you see and you want to see more, you know what? It's okay. I know you guys didn't like what you saw today. We were kind of all over the place. But if you like what you see in the future, and if you like what you previously seen, I hope you can forgive this scuffed episode that's only 1 hour long. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace! And have a beautiful day.